shock in the US after a prominent right-wing activist, Charlie Kirk, was shot dead while addressing students on a campus in Utah.
Good evening. The search for Charlie Kirk's killer has ended, with 22-year-old Tyler Robinson tonight in custody, awaiting formal charges of aggravated murder. The arrest was followed by a combative address from Kirk's widow.
I'm not going to say I knew this kid really well. I didn't know him very well at all, but I definitely saw him for like 3 straight years in high school. And the best way I could describe him is just like a Reddit kid. All I'm going to say is this is the kind of shit that happens when you spend way too much time online and all of a sudden your beliefs are all the way this way or all the way this way, and you do some dramatic shit to please these people that are not your friends.
These violent delights have violent ends.
I got nightmares in my head, I fear. Thoughts build up until I can't feel. My mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. I got nightmares in my head, I fear.
Investigators interviewed a family member of Robinson who stated that Robinson had become more political in recent years. The family member referenced a recent incident in which Robinson came to dinner prior to September 10th, and in the conversation with another family member, Robinson mentioned Charlie Kirk was coming to UVU. They talked about why they didn't like him and the viewpoints that he had. The family member also stated Kirk was full of hate and spreading hate.
Charlie Kirk's alleged assassin, Tyler Robinson, was full of hate in the days before the shooting. That's according to a family friend. Hold on, is that what the Utah Governor Spencer Cox said? Put up your hand if that's what you heard him say. All right, let's listen to it again, and please listen carefully. Oh, and I think this time let's put the words on screen.
Investigators interviewed a family member of Robinson who stated that Robinson had become more political in recent years. The family member referenced a recent incident in which Robinson came to dinner prior to September 10th, and in the conversation with another family member, Robinson mentioned Charlie Kirk was coming to UVU. They talked about why they didn't like him and the viewpoints that he had. The family member also stated Kirk was full of hate and spreading hate.
Now look at the article. Charlie Kirk's alleged assassin, Tyler Robinson, was full of hate in the days before the shooting.
It's not what you said. You said he was in danger. I said grave danger. You said, is there any
recall what I said.
I can have the court reporter read back to you.
I know what I said. I don't have to have it read back to me like I'm white.
Guys, this is important. This is about motive. This is about motive being discussed in the media, and the media literally mistranscribing this moment where we're getting a report from law enforcement, right? And they're mistranscribing because they are hearing not what was said, but what they want to hear. Look closer.
Closer, please. Closer.
Now, unlike whoever wrote this article, I'm not trying to make the point that Charlie Kirk was full of hate, or that Tyler Robinson was full of hate, or that one was more full of hate than the other. I'm trying to make a completely different and very neutral point. It's that we often hear not what is said, or what is true, or what the facts are, or what is real, but what we want to hear. All of us do it. And then when we republish these, which we all can do on social media, the virus spreads. Someone else hears and repeats what they want to hear. And you know what? The algorithm facilitates this. The algorithm is designed to put the information in front of you that you want to see. Can I just say, in true crime, the correct way to prosecute a case, the real, right, authentic way, is to follow the evidence. The wrong way is to follow the unanswered questions, to focus on all the things we don't know. Where you keep posing unanswered questions, where the unspoken implication, that a simple conspiracy is at work. Obviously, the conspiracy needs zero evidence. So in this case, the wrong way to prosecute this is to focus on why we can't see the shooter carrying the gun. And I wouldn't be surprised if he threw it off the top of the building and then ran with it in the one hand, but there might be another explanation. The other question is, what are those hand signals? What do they mean just before Kirk is shot dead? People are focusing on that. Why don't you focus on what we do know, on this person, on what you've just heard this person is like? In this video, I'm going to talk about the right way to find our way through this noise and malaise. But before we get to that, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. If you're finding this analysis worthwhile, please do hit the thanks button. Please also share it if you find it meaningful and worthwhile. And let's get started. So what is the right way to find our way through this noise and malaise in terms of this case, but also generally? Well, the answer is be curious. Try and spend a bit more time getting information, finding information, being open to learning, just being open. Being curious about who the people are on both sides and what the fabric and context really was and is on both sides. That's if you want to know what reality is. If you want to jump the gun and basically feel indignant as soon as possible, then you don't need to take that step. But if you want to know what really happened, what the truth is, what the reality is, you need to be curious. You need to be open to learning. And what this really means is letting go and stepping away from the fortress that you belong to the anchors that are holding you to your whatever position you take, so that you are instinctively, reactively defending them. You can't, there's a saying, you can't fill up a cup that's already full. And so I'm sorry, that takes effort. Learning and being curious and finding things out, that takes effort, that takes concentration, that takes thinking, that takes time, that takes courage. And that's not something everyone is capable of doing. Most people aren't capable of doing that. And that is going to take you also to places where you might encounter a few surprises about real life. Uncomfortable surprises you might not even want to hear. Surprises that don't fit neatly or simply and may fuck up your perfect composure about what you think your reality is. And that's what I'm going to do here. Fuck up your sense of what you think your reality is. Hopefully not by this important. Fuck up your sense of what your reality is. Hopefully not by transferring my reality onto you, which would be fucked up, but transferring the reality. Can we try to be objective about it before we are subjective about it? Think about what I've just asked you. Can we try to be objective in terms of this story before we are subjective about it? Because let's face it, it's better to be subjective about objective reality than subjective about subjective reality. Better still is to be objective about objective reality. Where do you stand in that spectrum, in that continuum? Now, I know what you're thinking. Dude, you have gone off the deep end. This is about Charlie Kirk. This is about Tyler Robinson. This is about American politics. What do you know about it? This is a true crime channel. What does this have to do with objective reality? In short,
what does that got to do with anything?
Everything.
And here's why. Here's a definition of objective reality. Objective reality is the existence of facts, things, and the world, the existence of the world that is independent of anyone's personal thoughts, feelings, perceptions, or consciousness, yours, mine, or anyone else's. It's the factual outer world that remains true regardless of individual beliefs or interpretation. And you know, objective facts exist even if nobody is aware of them. And why does objective reality and being objective, meaning being real, being authentic, being true, why does that matter today? Why does that actually matter now more than ever? Well, here's why. Algorithms create filter bubbles and echo chambers by personalizing content, making it subjective, making it suited to you. And that's based on a user's past behavior and preferences. I would actually go further and say based on your psychology. And what does that lead to? Well, to a reinforced worldwide view and a subjective reality that differs from objective reality. In other words, it reinforces a world view of the world that's not true. It's simply your view of the world, which you may share with other people who may also passionately share your views. But is that objective reality? And so by prioritizing content that a user interacts with, algorithms become amplifiers of existing beliefs, and they may sometimes use existing beliefs or modify existing beliefs to create new beliefs. And that creates a feedback loop that makes it difficult to encounter diverse perspectives. and it fosters a shared, fragmented understanding of the world. Now, I think it's easy to misinterpret those words, shared view of the world. Well, I think it's a shared in the sense that it's a shared fragmentation. It's a world that is misunderstood, and that misunderstanding is shared. That is really dangerous. And so how do algorithms create subjective reality? Well, there you have it. Data collection, personalized content curation. But look at that. The algorithm acts like a mirror, reflecting a user's views and showing them more content that confirms their existing beliefs, which is known as confirmation bias. Now, it's astonishing how quickly, after we heard Tyler Robinson's name for the first time and saw his face for the first time and caught a little of his visible and public social media presence for the first time, it's astonishing how fast we knew who he was. I mean, if you met a girl 33 hours ago, let's make it 48 hours ago, would you say that you knew absolutely everything about her and you wanted to marry her? And so why do people think this way about Tyler Robinson? We know absolutely who he is based on a label, a name, or something, a tweet that we saw. And so what is the objective reality regarding him? And you might say, I don't really care what it is. I don't really like him. I'm angry. Well, we should care, and we should pause, and we should be objective. And so when we talk about how astonishingly fast we knew who he was, is that in terms of our subjective reality or in terms of objective reality? Let's be honest. And what is going on here? Is this the power of the internet, or is this the power of projection? Think about that. Are we seeing reality, or are we seeing what we want to see through our own filters? I have these concerns as I share my sense of reality of the moment with you. But I want to cut to the chase. Governor Cox, who knew, is breaking the spell, telling us the who and what, the how and the why, also said this. He said, social media is a cancer of our society right now, and I would encourage people to log off, turn off, touch grass, get on a train, go out into the country, walk around in the countryside, hug a family member, go out and do good in your community. Go and walk your dog. Go and be outside in the real world. He wasn't the only one. In the context of Charlie Kirk, Tyler Robinson, and this assassination, to highlight not the left or the right, but social media as an aggravating factor. And I'm doing the same thing. Have a look at these headlines. Desensitized, detached, disposable. The aftermath of Charlie Kirk's death shows how living in our own algorithms is a recipe for dystopia. It was published the same day, September 12th, the same day as the arrest. Look at those words, living in our algorithms. Is that what Tyler Robinson was doing? Well, that's what his school associate said.
I say I knew this kid really well. I didn't know him very well at all, but I definitely saw him for like 3 straight years in high school. And the best way I could describe him is just like a Reddit kid.
How much would you say that description is worth? How objective is it? How subjective is it? This is based over his exposure to him in over 3 years. And now this is where things get uncomfortable. Wasn't Charlie Kirk also living in his algorithm? Well, he had to have been. He's an influencer. I'm an influencer. His YouTube subscriber base alone, this is Charlie Kirk's, was 4.5 million. And what does the algorithm ultimately do? It feeds subjectivity. And so if people have different beliefs, it feeds and reinforces these different beliefs regardless of objective reality, which is why an authentic, objective voice is so rare these days, because it's less popular, and less popular online means you make less money. That is a fact. And so who is incentivized to make less money? In other words, it incentivizes not telling the truth, but being popular. The algorithm, not telling the truths, but pushing popular beliefs. And when popular beliefs are different, it creates mutual loathing. And so I found this article on the Financial Times, America's Dangerous Descent into Mutual Loathing. It is really incredible for someone like me who comes from quite a poor country like South Africa with so many problems. Looking at America, I've traveled to America, I've been to places like Manhattan, I've traveled through Utah as well. I covered the Lori Vallow trial, but just seeing what a massive, incredible country, what a rich country America is, and people still bickering about things. Cheapers, you're one of the greatest countries in the world. Enjoy it. What are you fighting about? Anyway, so my perspective, and I don't have a horse in the race, certainly not politically. From my perspective, the problem here isn't so much the position you're taking. It's the algorithm that's artificially aggravating, intensifying, reinforcing this position from whatever it is and from wherever it's coming from to something more intense. More feelings are associated with it now, and those emotions are being repeatedly reinforced. And so, yes, living in our algorithms all day is a recipe for dystopia. And I think a very important question is, how was Tyler Robinson? What are the various ways he was living in an algorithm and living online? And I think when we examine that, and we are going to examine that, I think it's also an opportunity for you to examine the same question about your life and people close to you in your life. And, that imagined state, in terms of a dystopia, something we fear, can become our reality if we give in to those imaginings, those fears, and the anger and hatred that goes into it. Because how the system works is you feel fear, so does the other guy. You feel fear and anger and you respond, so does the other guy. I 100% concur with this sentiment. And I can tell you, as someone who works in social media, is essentially employed by social media and often consumed by social media myself, as an adult, I concur. But is that my truth, or is that a subjective truth? What is the objective truth here? And so basically this episode has served as an intro, as an introduction to a bigger story where I'll go into a lot more detail. I'll also share with you a book I'm reading on this very subject that I just happen to be reading. If you're finding this discussion worthwhile, please do let me know in the comments. Take care of yourselves. Remember to get out, go and walk your dog, and I'll see you guys next time.